Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Rishi sir, we'll start our lecture in 2 minutes. I'll just give introduction and then we will start. Very good morning to all of you. We welcome you all for this wonderful session on HRM organized by Bharatiya Vima Karmachari Sena and Mumbai Insurance Institute. I am Anil Jadhav from Team BVKS. I take this opportunity to thank Shri Dinesh Bobate, General Secretary, Bharatiya Vima Karmachari Sena, and office bearers of Mumbai Insurance Institute. I am also thankful to my team members, Mr. Sachin Loke, Mr. Jivan Bhosle, Mr. Prasad Sakharkar, and Mr. Sagar Deshmukh. We take this immense proud to introduce our today's faculty, Shri Rishikesh sir. Rishikesh sir has joined our insurance industry in 2015 as an assistant. He cracked 13.2 examination with flying colors and got promotion as a AO. Sir, last year he got promotion as a assistant manager and his score was 84 marks. Teaching is his passion. He's very passionate, very hardworking, and very technology savvy. He's currently working with MRO 4 as a health manager. He's handling health portfolio of MRO 4. Now, I will not take much time between you and sir. So, Rishikesh sir, you can start today's lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anil sir, and the team BVKS for giving me an opportunity. I quickly share my screen. You are able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
It's visible.
Okay. So today's our session is regarding HRM, personal and legal for para 13.2. We have total 40 slides, like 40 marks on HRM in our 13.2 exam. So 35 slides will be on management theory on our III book and 5 slides on CDA rules. The questions and the pattern is based on previous questions of para 13.2. We have focusing on management theory and all the questions queries we will answer after this session because we have our sort of time. So section 1 is HRM theory. What is management? Every organization has a variety of resources at its disposal. Like cost is also a factor, and money is also a resource acquired from banks or the money market at cost. So broadly speaking, management is the science that deals with the use of resources in an organization in order to achieve the purpose of the organization. There are 5 main resources of management. All are starting from M: men, material, machines, money, and minutes. Men means human resource. The expression of human resource refers to people. It is most critical resource in an organization. The utilization of all other resources depends on this resource. Next, we are proceeding to classical theories. These are classical theories. We call it as great grandparents of organization theories. There are 3 classical theories. So these are in industrialization revolution late 1700 to 1800 in Europe. Rapid explosions of means population and industrialization. People are moving from farms to factories, from shops to companies. The generation of power, steam engines, and cotton gin. Cotton gin played very important role. Cotton gins means is a short form of engine. It derived from engine, which separates cotton fibers from cotton seeds. So this is the first theory, Max Weber's ideal theory of ideal bureaucracy theory. One of the earliest writers of management was Max Weber. The theory, this is the theory from his book Social and Economical Organization. So there are Weber described a formal organization as a legal rational system. The important point is legal rational system. essential components of bureaucratic organization as a division of labor. Division of labor meaning that at every level and position, the tasks to be performed are to be clearly determined and defined. The tasks to be clearly determined and defined. Then hierarchy of positions, meaning that the chain of command is clearly defined and understood along with responsibility and accountability. Hierarchy of positions. Third point is uniformity of rules. Uniformity of rules relating to conduct and discipline, which would apply uniformly to everyone. The conduct and discipline to be applied uniformly to everyone. Then impersonality. Impersonality meaning that individual personal consideration would not apply when dealing with work and place. And the last point is primacy of merit, meaning people will occupy high positions by virtue by their competence and not their political or social context. Means not using their political and social context, they can occupy high positions by virtue. The second classical theory is by Taylor. So in the year 1911 marked the beginning of new school management thought will become scientific management. The Taylor's theory is scientific management. Um, Taylor applied engineering principles to study work done in factories and find ways to improve efficiencies. These all the theories are related to factories, industries especially. Taylor began experiment with the methods of doing work and found that changes in methods would increase the output per worker with reduced effort and therefore help the worker to improve his wages. Taylor is also called as father of scientific management. So there are Taylor's idea of scientific management based on three principles. First is every job must be understood in terms of time taken and process. This is the subject of time and motion studies. Then time and motion studies should be basis for comparing jobs to decide on wages and qualification required for recruitment, replacing rule of thumb. Workers should be given detailed instruction on how to do the work and also supervised closely to avoid waste of resources. And the last is workers should be given proper training. This is the scientific approach by Taylor. The third classical theory is of Henry Fayol. Henry Fayol was a French industrialist. Based on his experiences on managing a mining company, he has given 14 principles. The 14 principles I will say you shortly the 14 principles. The first principle is division of work. Division of work means it is clear workers should at all be specialized in specific tasks. This will be ensure better ability, confidence, and accuracy. Second point by Henry Fayol is authority and responsibility. Authority is the right to give orders. Whoever give orders is responsible for the result of those orders being carried out. Thus, authority and responsibility go together. Third is discipline. Disciplines every member is required to respect and abide the rules of conduct and work processes. Fourth is unity of command. A process should receive instructions from only one superior. This is called as unity of command. One question, there will be one question on this point, 14 principles. A unity of direction. This means that the operation in organization must all have objectives. Unity of directions. Then subordination of individual interest to the common good. The interest of individual interest should not get precedence over the interest of the organization as a whole. Then fair remuneration. Fayol suggested that fair remuneration would recognize cost of living and business conditions, rewarding exceptional efforts using job rates, bonuses, profit sharing, and other methods. Then centralization. Centralization refers to extent to which the decision-making powers are retained at the higher levels. Scalar chains. Scalar chains means there should be a clear chain or scale of supervision from bottom to the top. The chain would decide the flow of authority and communication. It would be an error to deviate from the chain except when exigencies of business demand so. So this is the scalar chain. Then order. We are we are learning the Henry Fayol's administration theory. There are 14 principles. Then order is one of the principle. There must be a place for everything and everything must be in its place. It is called as order. Equity. Managers should be fair in their decisions and treatment to subordinates. This is equity. Stability. Stability. Efficiency is promoted by stable workforce. High employee turnover undermines efficiency. Then second last is initiative. Initiative means within the limits imposed by respect for authority, for discipline, subordinates must be free to think and carry out their plans. And last one is esprit de corps or unionist strength. This emphasizes the need of team spirit, morale, and harmony. There is one another approach that we call as system approach. There are two types of systems: closed system and open system. Closed system has little contact with the outer environment. Two examples are given: that refrigerator or clock. They do not have contact with outer environment, so we can call that closed system. But open system receives input from an environment, transforms the input into outputs, and sends the output to the environment. So this is called as open system. Now we are moving to next. This is the planning. Planning is deciding in advance what to do, how to do, when to do, and who is to do it. So on screen you are seeing why, where, when, how, what, and who. So this is called as planning. There are missions and goals for planning. The mission of organization is the broadest possible statement why that organization has been created. So the broadest possible statement is called as mission. The mission, one example is given, that Life Insurance Corporation, LIC. The mission in 1956, its mission was to spread insurance products all over India, particularly in rural areas and economically backward classes, and to provide financial insurance covers against death at low premiums. So the broadest possible statement of any organization is called as mission. There are strategies also. Strategic planning. Strategies differ from tactics mainly in the extent of details and specific time frames. So there are corporate strategy, which deals with mission statement. Business strategy, it will deal with business positioning, distribution arrangement, use of capital, and use of technology. Now we move forward to SWOT analysis. SWOT. SWOT, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. SWOT. Good planning should, it suggested, take note of these four factors. Four factors: strengthen the strength, overcome or neutralize the weaknesses, take advantage of the opportunities, and overcome or neutralize the effects of the threats. So SWOT, this is the SWOT analysis. Strengths are things your company does well, qualities that separate you from your competitors, internal resources such as skilled, knowledgeable staff, tangible assets such as intellectual property, capital, proprietary technologies, etc. These are your strengths. Weaknesses, things your company lacks, things your competitor do better than you, resource intimation, unclear, unique selling position. These are weaknesses. Now, what are the opportunities? Opportunities are under undeserved markets for specific products, few competitors in your area, emerging need for your products or services, press, media coverage of your company. Now, what are the threats? Threats are emerging competitors, changing regulatory environment, negative press, media coverage, changing consumer attitudes toward your company. So this is the SWOT analysis. Now we are moving to organizing. What is organizing? The organizing structure will comprise of people with responsibilities for specified tasks. People with responsibilities for specified tasks. The relation between these people, the hierarchy, who will report to whom, and who will give instruction. This is called as organizing. There are roles given in clearly mentioned in organizing, which is subordinate role, superior role, or peer. Peer means same level role. Next important point is departmentalization. In a big organization, several activities are to be undertaken to ensure that the overall objectives of the business are achieved. Many of these activities are similar and repetitive. For effectiveness of performance and control, it is necessary to group similar activities together. Such grouping of similar activities to facilitate administration result in the organization structure. Departmentalization is the process of dividing a large organization into small and operational unit of administration. So there are processing and underwriting new business, marketing, policy servicing, claims, legal. These are the various methods. Departmentalization is on the basis of region, specific customer. Now, line and staff. In organization, some functions are called line and some are called staff functions. A line function is one that produces result directly in its core business areas. What a staff selling is a line function. The cashier job is a line function. Recruiting people is a line function. Giving legal advice, but giving legal advice is a staff function. Because line function is that produces result directly in its core business area, while staff is one of that provides support services. So giving legal advice is a staff function. Planning is staff function. Execution of the plan will be done by the line. So this is line and staff functions. Now, delegation. Delegation is the process by which a manager passes on to his subordinate the authority to make decisions and the responsibility to achieve certain results. A peon is asked to go and deliver a letter to someone. That is a task assigned. The peon has a responsibility in performing the task. He has to be careful not to lose that letter, for example. He has to be prompt and not waste time. This level of responsibility is at a minimal level. The delegation, the subordinate will be told what to achieve, and he will have some discretion to decide how he has to go about it. There is always some authority and some responsibility attached to a role that a person is occupying. They are determined when the structure is determined. What is delegated is beyond this. So delegation is a tool to develop people. Next is staffing. The function of organizing will determine the jobs to be done by people. The function of finding the people to do those jobs is called as staffing. Staffing is included in the function of organizing as if it is a procurement of resource. Another view is that the resource of people is not like other resources and has to be treated differently. So this is staffing. Next point is decision making. So all managers at all levels, irrespective of the jobs for which they are responsible, are required to make decisions. A decision is necessary to plan the job and at every single of its implementation. Whether a new job has to be entrusted to A or B is a decision. So there are various types of decisions: program and non-program decisions, futurity in decisions, slowing of the past. Planning is based on possibilities, and planning makes adaptation easier. So this is decision making. Now controlling. When a plan is made, it is assumed that the plan will achieve the expected result in the future. One cannot be sure that it will happen so. Therefore, while implementing the plan, it is necessary to observe carefully that the activities are on course. Controlling is the process of ensuring that the activities are being carried out as a planned and that the activities are leading to the expected objectives. What is controlling? Controlling is the activities are being carried out as planned and the activities are leading to the expected objectives. The control functions may detect variation in actual happenings compared to the plans, suggesting that sometimes is not right with execution of plan, the plan itself, or the objectives. So these are controlling techniques. Then coordination. Coordination is the function that ensures that all activities are happening in proper sequence in time and in space. Coordination is the function that ensures that all activities are happening in proper sequence in time and in space. Now in HRM, we are moving to HRM. What is HRM? There are 5 dimensions of HRM. So these are 5 dimensions. One is physiological. Physiological dimensions mean which relates to the use of physical strength, stamina, coordination, alertness, speed of response, patterns of rhythm, stress, sharpness of observation. So physiological dimensions are strength, stamina, etc. Second one is psychological. Psychological psychological dimension is which relates to his self-image, sense of self-worth, complexes, fears, preferences, satisfaction, enthusiasm. So psychological dimension related to self-image, enthusiasm, etc. Then social which relates to his affiliation, membership, and status in religious, professional, community groups. Social means uh, membership, status, religious, professional, or community groups. Then economic dimension. Economic dimensions which relates to his earning, standard of living. Power which relates to his need for dominance of dependence. So these are 5 dimensions: physiological, psychological, social, economic, and power. Next is behavioral sciences. Behavioral sciences, the two phases, HR management and HR development, are often used as interchangeable. In fact, they are not same. So HRD deals with activities that contribute to the growth of individuals, enabling them to acquire more skills. HRM is more comprehensive and includes HRD, which will focus on education and training as well as job rotation. So first, behavioral science, we are taking psychology. Psychology is the science that attempts to explain and sometimes change behavioral in human beings. Psychologists study learning patterns, perceptions, personality, and counseling skills. At present, industrial and organization psychologists are contributing to the understanding of work-related problems like fatigue, boredom, and stress. So, psychological sciences. Then second is sociology. Sociology, whereas psychological study individuals, sociology studies social system, which is made up of interacting individuals. In other words, sociology studies individuals in relation to other human beings. Specifically, sociologists have made valuable contribution to the study of group behavior. Third point is social psychology. Social psychology is the science which blends, as the name suggests, which blends from psychology and sociology. These help in understanding attitudes, communication patterns, and group discussion making process. So, social psychology is the blend of psychology and sociology. Then, anthropology. Anthropology means that is the study of man and its activities in the society. Anthropology is study of man and his activities in the society. The work of anthropologists on culture and environment has helped in understanding differences in values, attitudes, and behavior between people in different countries and within different organizations. So, anthropology means man and his activities in the society. Political science. Political science also has influenced studies in organization behavior. Organizations are political entities. Power struggles exist in organization. Apart from trade unions, who try to dominate, different departments and different professionals also seek to hold power and try to force their viewpoints and interests while decisions are being made. So, apart from trade unions, different departments and different professionals also seek to hold power. So, this is political science. And the last point is organizational behavior. The subject of organizational behavior is people. People, as stated several times earlier, are complex entities. Therefore, our ability to make simple, accurate, and sweeping statements is limited. This means that organizational behavior concept must necessarily be subject to conditions or factors in the concept. So, last is organizational behavior. So, psychology, sociology, social psychology, anthropology, political science, and organizational behavior are the behavioral sciences. Next point is perception. Perception is an important concept of great relevance in HRM. It affects behavior of people. Simply stated, the concept of perception says that what one sees is not the same as what there is to be seen. So, what one sees is not the same as what there is to be seen. So, there are perceptions. Perception is what makes people not see facts, data the same way, not be objective about observations and judgments. Perceptions means not be objective about the observation and judgment, argue, prejudiced or biased. The perceptions makes people prejudiced or biased, argue, not to be objective about observations and judgments, not see facts, data the same way. So another important point related to perception is stimuli. Stimuli include shapes, movements, colors, sounds, touch, smell, etc., which our sense come in contact with. So stimuli include shapes, movements, colors, sounds, touch, smell, etc., which our sense come in contact with. The stimuli are selected. We are not aware of what we do not pay attention to. What we do not pay attention to, or we are not aware of. There is lot of reality in the world outside that we are not aware of. Therefore, as far as we are concerned, do not exist. So, this is called as stimuli. Then perceptions differ. There is differ in perceptions because of limitation of our sensory capacity, inadequate contact with the world outside. There is difference in perception because of limitation of our sensory capacity, inadequate contact with the world outside, inadequate data from the world outside, limitation of past experiences, and our own beliefs. This because of this, the perception differs. Next, we are moving to job. So there are 4 points. job descriptions, job specification, job evaluation, and job design. So what is job description? Job description is a statement about the purpose, scope, duties, and responsibilities of a job. It includes information relating to the title of the job, the main functions, responsibilities, and limits of authority associated with the job, clarifying title, what is to be done, where is to be done, how it is to be done, performance standards, duties, and responsibility attached to. So, job descriptions is a statement about purpose, scope, duties, and responsibility of the job. Second is job specification. Job specification lays down the personal attributes and abilities required to perform the job. Job description is statement about purpose, scope, duties, responsibilities, while job specification lays down the personal attributes and abilities required to perform the job. Third point is job evaluation. Job evaluation compares jobs and places them in common compensation group. Job evaluation is helpful in salary administration. And the last is job design. Job analysis may lead to job design, which is restructuring of the job in order to adjust the change in the technology, environment, and personnel, etc. So these 4 points are very important, which is again repeat job description, about the purpose, scope, duties, and responsibilities of job, job specification. It lays down the personal attributes and abilities required to perform the job. Job evaluation compares the job and places them in common compensation group. And job design, job design is restructuring of the job in order to adjust the change in technology, environment, and personnel. So this is about job. Next point is test. So tests are of 4 types. First one is psychological tests. Psychological tests are intended to test behavioral characteristics like tolerance, adaptability, aggression, etc. So these are psychological tests. These tests produce very unreliable result if they are not administered by competent and trained persons. So psychological tests are intended to test behavioral characteristics like dominance, tolerance, adaptability, adjustability, aggression, emotional characteristics, etc. These are psychological, related to psychology. Second one is IQ. IQ means intelligence quotient. There are also tests to determine the level of intelligence called as IQ test. If IQ is 100, the growth is normal. More or less than 100 would mean higher or lower level of growth. So this is IQ test. Some are good at language fluency, some are excellent power, some are good at spatial visualization, and so on. So comparison on the basis of one ratio would not lead to appropriate judgment. This is regarding IQ. Now the important point is in-basket test. What is in-basket test? An in-basket test is a set of papers which might come to an executive desk. The candidate is expected to record his decision. The candidate is expected to record his decision on each of those papers. These decisions may be discussed later between candidates themselves or with the selectors. The decisions are expected to indicate executive competence as well as values. An in-basket exercise is appropriate as selection tool if the vacancy of job is at high level involving policy decisions and promotion from within. So this will be not helpful for low-level recruitment or test. So in-basket test is set of papers which might come at the executive desk. The candidate is expected to record his decision on each of those papers. These decisions may be discussed later between the candidate themselves or the selectors. And the last is reference and medical test. This provides secondary data after the main selection process is over. This only confirm the suitability but not decide the suitability. Only confirm the suitability but not decide the suitability. Now next point is induction. After the selection process is complete, the appointment letter may be issued. But before placing the new appointee on the job, it is advisable to let him do through what is called as induction. The purpose of induction is to help the candidate to understand the organization, its structure, its values, its objectives, its policies, etc. The process of induction is also called as orientation. So induction is synonymous to orientation. During the first few days of months of induction, all the new recruits may receive the same inputs about the organization as a whole. After that, they may be separated according to the jobs which they are likely to undertake and given inputs pertaining to jobs so that they will find it easier to get into the routine. So this is induction. Next point is manpower development. Manpower development, all the resources, including HR, are obtained by an organization at a cost. Resources, whether land or water or money, are scarce. They are valuable. There is demand for every resource from other organizations in business or otherwise. So, it is the responsibility of every management to ensure that they do not waste the resources and enhance their value or capabilities after acquisition. So manpower development, it enables individual to acquire or sharpen their capabilities, enable everyone to discover and exploit their potentials for own and organizational purpose, strengthen relationship, teamwork and collaboration between individuals contributing to their well-being, motivation and pride. This is manpower development. And one another point is cognitive knowledge. Cognitive knowledge can be acquired through reading, hearing, and seeing. That knowledge is useful to anyone only if he can use it himself in practical action. So we call it as cognitive knowledge. Other dimensions of individual developments are: first is ability to maintain equanimity. Equanimity means emotional balance in situations of crisis so that the brain and mind can search for appropriate action to overcome the difficult situation. So ability to maintain emotional balance is in situation of crisis so that the brain and mind can search for appropriate action to overcome the difficult situation. This is called as ability to maintain emotional balance or equanimity. Second is assertiveness. Assertiveness means arising out of equanimity is the skill to be assertive, avoiding the extremes of submissiveness and aggressiveness. Assertiveness means avoid the extremes of submissiveness and aggressiveness. Both submissiveness and aggressiveness leave one dissatisfied and regretting not having done differently. So, assertiveness is the second dimension of individual development. Third is making decisions. On the basis of data, avoiding the tendencies to act on hunches, confuse facts with one's opinion, problem of perception. So, making decision. Fourth point is contentment, which means acceptance of one's position and trying to do one's best therein without being over anxious about consequence thereof on oneself. So, acceptance of one's position and trying to do one's best therein without being over anxious about the consequence thereof on oneself, either as reward or as punishment. So, he should be contented. Next is ability to learn from one's experience. Through reflective observation or whatever may be happened, the ability to learn from one experience. A corollary to this would be help other to learn by sharing one's experience. The sharing would come mutually beneficial. This is also test of professionalism. Then ability to see facts. Ability to learn implies ability to see facts as they really are, not as one imagines to be. In the process, one would become aware of oneself and his environment without being carried away by fantasies and hallucinations of imagined glory or imagined risk. So, ability to see facts, being factual. Last is other centeredness. As opposed to self centeredness, is an aspect of individual development. Self centered people, through their behavior, convey disrespect to others, attempt manipulation. What self centered people do? Through their behavior, they convey disrespect to others, attempt manipulation, seek unfair advantage, generate suspicion, and will have difficulty in seeing or other giving collaboration. So, other centeredness is another point, another dimension of individual development. Next point is training. So, training is individuals learn only when they want to learn. We are heading towards training. Individuals learn only when they want to learn. Workers in an organization may be willing to learn when they are able to see how the training will be of help to them. Learning requires feedback. Practice reinforces learning. Learning begins rapidly but later flattens out it is not, if not practiced. And learning must be transferable to the job. Learning must result in a permanent change in behavior. So this is learning. Effectiveness of training. There are limitations to what training can achieve. Training is most useful if it is done within the organization by the persons with whom the training is working. Means the training is most useful if it is done within the organization by the persons with whom the training is working and with the equipments with which he has to work. The methodologies of training are apprenticeship. Apprenticeship training is the oldest and most commonly used method, especially when proficiency in a job is dependent on a variety of skills and on adequate practice. Second is on job training, OJT. The employee is assigned a new job and he learns by doing with the help of guide or mentor who is available for guidance whenever required. So one knows best what one does compared to what one sees others to do or hears about. So this is OJT. Then third is lecture. Lectures, the most common classroom methodology is lecture. The content, sequence of ideas, development of thoughts, and training are all under the control of trainer. But this method is highly trainer centered and not trainee centered. So this is called a lecture. Then conference, seminar, workshops, case studies, role play, program instruction. Program instruction consists of a text which progressively feeds information to trainees. The subject matter for learning is presented in a small units called frames. So program instructions, they are arranged in a logical sequence. After each frame, questions are posed which the trainee should answer before moving on. The merit of this method is that the trainee learns at his own pace, at his own time, at his own place of stay or work or leisure. Besides, immediate feedback on the extent of learning is available to the trainee. This method is very appropriate for learning and understanding theoretical concepts, but not for acquiring operational skills. So this is about training. Then next is computer aided training, CAT. This is also called as computer aided learning, is a modern version of program instruction. While PA is organized on paper, CAT is organized on computer. So this is same as program instruction. And then next is simulation. Simulation techniques attempts to create situation in the classroom similar to real life situations, so that the skills acquired in real life may be tried out, experienced with, and perfect. 100% replication may not be practicable, but reasonable approximation can be attempted. So simulation. Then in basket exercises. This exercise was referred in the costed last time we have checked this in basket approach. This can be also training and prospective candidates for higher level of responsibilities. This is not for lower level. Then learning. There are 4 stages of learning. One is dissatisfaction. The learner has to feel to need for some change in the existing behavior and attitudes of himself or for of others. So this is dissatisfaction. Second is unfreezing. This occurs when the existing learning of values, beliefs, assumption as challenged and the questions because of new experiences that suggest that these and the existing behavior and attitudes are inappropriate. Dissatisfaction, unfreezing. Third is conversion. This refers to the replacement of or the modification of the existing learning of values, beliefs, and assumptions. This is conversion, means replacement of the replacement or modifications. And the last is rephrasing. When the changes that occur during conversion are firmly internalized, so that they automatically become the part of learner's behavior and attitude, the learning is complete. All the stages of unfreezing, conversion, refreezing can occur when the learner actively involved in the exploration of experiences. And then coaching and mentoring is another point. Coaching and mentoring, evaluation of training. And the last point is counseling. Counseling means if the manager tells an employee that there is a problem with him, it is unlikely that the employee will agree to it easily or agree to change. Change in behavior comes from new learning after unlearning from past learning. This is not easy. The method to follow while attempting the correction is to make the person aware himself that there is a problem and then help him to deal with it. This process is called as counseling. So, the method to follow while attempting the correction is to make the person aware himself that there is a problem and then help him to deal with it. This is called as counseling. There are counseling skills that active listening. Active listening means listening attentively. This is called active listening. Empathy. Empathy is the ability to see things as the other individual does. So empathy, the client must have developed a particular feeling in the given situation, which must have given rise to a problem. So empathy means ability to see things as the other individual does. Then last is intervention. Intervention is different from interruption or interference. The counselor should avoid the temptation to interrupt the client. Intervention means helping the client to think through his own thoughts and examine the matter fully. This is called as intervention. Next point is appraisal. Appraisal or evaluation of performance is part of the development process. Performance of an individual is the resultant of his skill or ability to do, his willingness or motivation to do, the support he gets from the organization. So support relates to availability of adequate information, equipment, direction, etc. Means information, equipment, direction, etc. means supports. There are annual appraisals. Annual appraisals means traditionally we are using annual appraisals. Annual appraisal is an annual exercise used to make decisions on grant of increments and to determine promotions. Seniors would be required to complete appraisal form with their opinion on a number of traits. That is, traits are knowledge, attitude, ability, behaviors, etc. And on how the appraisee had performed during the year gone by. This report may have to be reviewed by the next senior officer and perhaps by the one more. Judgments are then made by competent authorities about whether at all and if so, how much increment should be given to the appraisee. If the performance is rated very high, the appraisee may be considered for the promotion. And what are the drawbacks about this annual appraisals? One of the important drawbacks is that the appraisers aware that the appraisee would result in the increments and promotion for their subordinates tend to manipulate ratings with a view to obtain what they thought should be the right decision. So this is the one of the drawbacks. Then appraiser tried to make sure that they were not stricter than their colleagues from the other departments. Otherwise, their influence on their subordinate may suffer. And third drawback is some appraisers were able to use the appraisal as an instrument of punishment and make sure that subordinates who were difficult at times suffered badly. So these are appraisals. Then one point in appraiser is BARS, behavioral anchored rating scales. Opinions expressed in the appraisal report tended to be based on the most recent impression. Means most recent means last 1-2 months like that, and not on the events over the year. The report written at the end of the year depended entirely on the appraiser's memory and invariably only some aspects of performance, and that too of recent times will come to the mind. There was no uniform standard for evaluating traits. This is one of the appraisal system BARS, behavioral anchor rating scales. So other appraisal systems, several other appraisal systems are also there. One was to use graphic rating scales. Another was to appraise a few employees in a department collectively by comparing and rating them on various criteria. In comparing the department collectively by comparing and rating them various criteria. Another approach was to give appraiser a free hand to do appraisal and not confine him to predetermined factors. And another last approach is that was 360-degree appraisal, where everybody in the working group would appraise everybody else. The 360-degree appraisal may avoid some kind of biases, but not all biases, and was very cumbersome to organize. Also, comparison between two individuals will become difficult as the basis of appraisals will have nothing in common. So this is BARS and appraisal system. Now, one important point in the exam perspective is MBO, management by objectives. So concept is one of the ways tried to make appraisal more reliable was to set standards of performance or goals. Say at the beginning of the appraisal period and measure performance made at the end of the period. A budget may lay down the expected result. Comparison of result achieved with the budget will provide evaluation of excellent or outstanding at one extreme and poor at the other. The MBO means management by objectives, MBO, were developed under which objectives would set for every role after discussion between the role incumbent and his senior. The appraisal would be based on the extent of achievement of this objectives. The appraisal would be based on the extent of these achievements of these objectives. So this is MBO. Next point is responses. So there are two types of response. One is reactive and second one is proactive. So reactive response, change implying adaptation and transformation intended to improve effectiveness. Change implying adaptation and transformation is intended to improve effectiveness. The need of improvement has to be felt before change can happen. Change would then be response to satisfy the need. The need may be felt because awareness that the effectiveness is being adversely affected. In that case, the response is called as reactive one in the nature of problem solving. So reactive response is in the nature of problem solving. The need may be felt because of awareness that the effectiveness is being adversely affected. Second is proactive response. The need may also be felt through observation that effectiveness has not yet been but likely to be affected adversely. In that event, the response is to be anticipated solution to a perceived threat. Such response is called as proactive response in the nature of preparing for a future responsibility. In the nature of problem solving, reactive response. In the nature of preparing future responsibility is the reactive response. Next point is climate and culture. Organizational development is defined as systematic, integrated, organization-wide effort planned and managed from the top, aim to increase organizational effectiveness and health using knowledge of behavioral science. So, chief characteristics of organizational development are: it is an organization-wide educational strategy. The change is planned usually with the help of consultant. It has long-term implications. Behavior science concepts are used. The focus is on both formal and informal system because both are integral to the working of the organization, and a climate of trust and support is created. So organizational development. Organizational development is defined as systematic, integrated, organization-wide effort planned and managed from the top, aim to increase the organizational effectiveness and health using knowledge of behavioral sciences. What is climate? The climate is used to refer the ways in which members of the group the expression climate is used to 1 minute. This will have an effect on the commitment of the members of the group and therefore affect attitudes of the work. So climate refers to the ways in which members of the group experience the working environment. This will have an effect on the commitment of members to the group and therefore affect attitudes of at work. The last point is culture. The word culture implies an aggregate of values and practices and belief systems. Values are the standards of rights and wrongs because of which there are ways in which things are done. These differ from organization to another. So culture implies an aggregate of values and practices and belief systems. Values and philosophy. Consistency and uniformity of behavior become easier when the rationale for such behavior is made known to the person concerned. These are in the nature of values and philosophy of the company. So values and philosophy are reinforced or denied by the behaviors within the community. If corruption is rampant in the community, it cannot be said that the community has a value that condemns corruption between the preaching of the clean system, the law and the department that seek to detect and punish the corrupt, and the practice of corruption. So if the corruption is rampant in a community, it cannot be said that the community has a value that condemns corruption. Between the preaching of the clean system, the law and the department that seek to detect the punish the corrupted, the practice of corruption. Then this is another chapter, motivation. Motivation means a manager's primary job is said to be motivating the subordinate, meaning to get him to do work as the manager wants. The assumptions here are that the others may not perform by themselves unless some external impulse is provided by the manager. Questions then arise as to what kind of impulses should be effective. These impulses are referred to as motivational techniques, which is a wrong use of the word. So, what is motivation? When a person is relaxing and resting, it is because of he feels that the need of relaxation and rest and hopes thereby to get some satisfaction with regard to some disturbance that he may be having. The need may also be just to avoid work for the time being. The horse is not drinking water because it is not thirsty and does not need to be water. If it was thirsty, it would find water without the help of any horseman. So motivational is an internal impulse and not an external stimulus. This is important point. Motivation is an internal impulse and not external stimulus. There are various theories on motivation. So first is Maslow's need of hierarchy. A study, according to Abraham Maslow, needs are 5 levels, starting from the lower level to the higher level needs. He calls this order the hierarchy of the needs, which includes physiological need, safety need, social needs, recognition need, and self-actualization need. So these are 5 needs. Then second is Frederick Herzberg. Frederick Herzberg's motivational theory, second theory, uh, it showed that among the number of factors that employees experience in a job, some provided satisfactions while others only provided dissatisfaction. He called the former group of factors motivators and the latter hygiene factors. Hygiene factors must exist satisfactory, otherwise there are negative feelings. The motivators make the work want to excel to achieve. So this is Herzberg motivation theory. Third is David McClelland emphasized that the need of achieve exists in all persons, but is dormant in many, and that it is possible to strengthen the motivation to achieve. When so developed, such people work to great capacity. This was called as achievement theory. So McClelland achievement theory. According to the expectancy theory of Victor Room, the expectancy theory, Victor Room's expectancy theory, he thinks that the effort can produce an outcome that may be satisfying instrumentally. He thinks that he has the skills to make the effort and produce the outcome. The satisfactions that the outcome will provide are strongly desired by him. So, what is Victor Bloom's theory? He A person will make the efforts to perform if he thinks that the effort can produce an outcome that may be satisfying. So it is called as instrumentality. Second, a person thinks that he has the skills to make the effort and produce the outcome. This is called as expectancy. And third is the satisfaction that the outcome will provide are strongly desired by him. So it is called as valence. The theories of motivation show that money is not sufficient incentive for high level performance. Non-financial incentives such as prestige, recognition, status, titles, etc., are more powerful motivators for better performance. So these are the motivational theories. Now next chapter is communication. Communication is the process of exchanging thoughts, information, interpretations, ideas, opinions, and decisions between the persons to create common understanding. So, communication in organization is a lot of messages go around, sometimes explicitly stated, sometimes implicitly understood. Expectations and demands are communicated. Authority is exercised through communication, and relationships are built because of communication. So, role of communication is management. Managers have to communicate constantly. Others have to know the decisions made by the managers. Managers must know what others are doing and what is happening at various points in the organization. Without information, they cannot decide. Communication plays an important role in the effectiveness of manager. The competence of a manager the competence of a manager will be enhanced if he understands the process of communication and acquires the adequate communication skills. So, what is communication? The word communication originates from the Latin word communis, denoting common. Therefore, communication implies sharing. Communication is the process of exchanging thoughts, information, interpretations, ideas, opinions, and decisions between persons to create common understanding. So, there are effective communication. When understanding is shared or is common, the communication is effective. Miscommunication, when the understanding is different, there is said to be miscommunication or communication gap. So this is regarding communication. The process of communication, there are clothing and coding ideas, words, words, oral or written using language. This is called as words. Illustrations as pictures, graph, or cartoons. Histrionics, tonal variations, facial expression. Tonal variations and facial expressions are called as histrionics. Histrionics are the tonal variations and facial expressions. The next is symbol or gestures as dance or meme. So the coded message has to be sent, transmitted through a medium or channel, direct face-to-face, messenger, telephone, message, email, letter, circular letter, printed publication, etc., which when received by the receiver and decoded by him. This is called as coding ideas. Body language, the aggregate of signals emanating from the body language is called, the meaning is specific context of particular situation, particular receiver, and particular sender. So this is communication, and barriers to communications are map versus territory. There are these are the barriers to effective communications. First is map versus territory. The first problem can occur in the coding. Language is the most common mode of coding. Language has limitation. It is not easy to capture the fullness of one's thought within the limited confines of word. That is why there is few great literature cartoonists, although there is many writers or sketchers. So second is semantics. Words problems are created by the choice of symbols. Words do not mean the same for all persons. This is semantics, means same word, same meaning. The word run has 400 different meanings, and Eskimos have 23 different words for snow. This is called semantics. Various meaning for same words. Third is noise. Problems of communication may be caused of noise, disturbances in the medium and transmission. Noise may be created by the receiver himself, sometimes while listening to a speaker, sometimes of his comments may trigger of some thoughts within the listener, and these thoughts constitute a noise in the interference of the further listening. Then frame of reference. Frame of reference, the context of background in which the idea exists is important to understand the idea properly. If the context is not transmitted along with the idea, there would be difference in meaning. The receiver will assume a different context. So frame of reference is the important point. Then lack of attention. In big organizations, there are often complaints that letters, circular, etc. do not reach to concerned persons. This is lack of attention. Dispatch and distribution problems are cause this, but not always. Failure to pay attention to bulletins, notice, minutes, and the reports is quite common. So this is called as lack of attention. Next is unclarified assumptions. Unclarified assumptions. All the messages make certain assumptions about the content of the message and addressee. Unclarified assumption. A peon who was instructed to deliver important letter on his way home, also allowed to leave office half an hour early, delivered the letter after he completed his shopping and social calls. The manager had assumed that the peon would go to home directly, and office therefore did not bother to specify that the letter must be delivered by 5:30 p.m. So this is unclarified assumptions. Different experiences and background. An unfamiliar idea coded in simple words will still not convey any understanding. The new idea will have to be related to some familiar idea before understanding can occur. So different experiences and backgrounds. One can make meanings only within the limitation of one experience. This is called as different experience and backgrounds. Then stereotypes and beliefs. All of us have stereotypes idea about other people and tend to behave on their basis. Women are poor drivers is such one stereotype. There are similar generation about ethnic and other distinct group, like some are thought of more intelligent, some are less reliable, some are very loyal, some are very self-centered. So these are stereotypes and beliefs. Impressions and communication. Impressions and communicator. Our prior impression of a person who is sending the communication tend to distort the meaning. If we know that the manager is rough person who never has a nice word to say, a call from him immediately prepares us to face the worst. If that manager then says, "Have you done this?" we hear it as a critical comment and are ready to explain and defend ourselves. Defensiveness distorts. So this is impressions of the communicator. Next point is our own state of mind. A worried, nervous employee finds a threat in everything that is said to him. A person who prefers to be alone is very suspicious of a colleague who tries to establish social contact. People become nervous in the presence of very senior managers. So, this is our own state of mind. Next is perception. This refers to what one sees. This refers to what one sees. One does not see the world and the realities as they are. Each one of us has his own image and visions at the viewpoint. This is called as perception. We interpret all that we hear and see through the filter of these perceptions. Even the abuses from someone we love are heard as affectionate sound. Politeness from someone we suspect may be seen as insulting. The instructions to be strict emanating from the manager pursued to be lenient will not be taken seriously. So this is called as perception. Next is filtering. Filtering refers to selective omission and selective selection of some information with a few to create particular impression. This is similar to behavior of children who hide some information from the teachers or the parents in order to avoid unpleasant situation for the time being. So this is called as filtering. And last one is psychological distance. We are studying that barriers are to effective communication. This is the last barrier, psychological distance. This refers to how much people feel close to or distance from each other. This is determined by positions in organizational setup or social factors like background, caste, lifestyle, living standards, etc. The lesser the psychological distance is, the better the chances of the effective communication. So these are the barriers. Now the principles of good communication. Principles of good communication are clarity of thought. First is clarity of thought. The first step in any good communication is to be clear about what one needs to communicate and what the receiver should do as a result of communication. This is clarity of thought. Second is clarity of language. The language used should be simple, keeping in mind the knowledge levels of the receiver. Simple words, direct statements, and short sentences communicate better. Jargons, we have to avoid jargons. Jargons are technical and professional words, including abbreviation, which have different meanings in different contexts. Now, amount of communication. Too much communication lead to confusion. Too little communication may not convey the message adequately. Both create problems. So, amount of communication also matters a lot. Appropriate media or channel. Communication may be oral, written, or visual. Options will depend on the matter to be conveyed and the audience. Whenever possible, charts and the diagrams may be used. So this is appropriate media or channel. Then avoid mismatches in the communication. It is not only the words which are important, the tone, the voice, the facial expressions are also communicated. Smiles, frowns, or bored look are equally important. Sometimes the words may be interpreted differently than intended if the expressions and voice do not match. There should be not conflict between words, deeds, and thoughts. Then communication should be a two-way process. Effectiveness in communication implies that the message conveyed has been received and understood as expected. To ensure that the understanding of the message by the receiver is right, the communicator must check by asking questions and give the receiver an opportunity to ask questions. A discussion on some of the subtle points, uh, the discussion on some of the subtle points will provide better idea on the level of understanding. Then next point is be sensitive to receiver's response. The receiver response, including the facial expression, any body movement, may give some clue as to how may receiving the message. Next is communicated directly. Every communication has problems. If the communication is relayed through intermediary, every intermediary is a potential source of distortion. Therefore, as far as possible, communicate directly and not through the someone else. So this is communication. Next is technology. Technology and adoption to technology interpretation skills. Current workspace demand collaboration and adoption of technology has become imperative. All employees need to have at least some basic knowledge about using the relevant technologies. This is one of the communication and technological challenges in the present environment. It has to be understood technology is not an end-all solution for communication, but facilitator of communication. So this is the use of technology. Next is leadership theory. Leader is concerned with the task which has to be achieved. The individuals who have aspirations for growth and development. The group which has to be remain cohesive. So this there is one chart you are seeing on the screen is Robert R. Blake and Jane S. Mountain concept of grid. This is very important point. Concept of grid. On the x-axis there is concern of task and the y-axis concern of people. So when 1.1, there are 4 types of leader. First is 1.5 types of leader. One is 1.1 type of leader with low concern of task and low concern of people. The leaders of 1.1 type have low concern of people and also low concern of task. They are satisfied with the minimum effort. So this is called as 1.1. Second is 9.9 type of leader. 9.1 type of leader, very high concern of task, but very low concern of people. This is 9.1. In the extreme x-axis, the 9.1 types have very common concern of task and very low concern of people. They operate on theory X assumption. They are hard task masters, expect implicit obedience to instruction, show little concern for problems and feelings of people, and are interested in people only as instruments for production. This is called as 9.1 type of leader. Then second is 1.9 type of leader. The 1.9 type of leader having high concerns of people and low concern of task will be a very popular figure building up fellow feelings, and the happiness of the and harmony among the colleagues has greater priority to him than the work to be done. This is 1.9. Happiness and harmony among the colleagues has greater priority to him than the work. This is called as 1.9 type of leader. Then 9.9 type of leader. 9.9 has equally high concern for both task and for people, integrating the needs of the people with the needs of the organization. He involves people in decisions, looks for their needs, but never forget that tasks have to be performed. So 9.9 is a leader having equally high concern for both tasks and for people, integrating the needs of the people with the needs of the organization. He involves people in the decision, looks to their needs, but never forgets that the tasks have to be performed. He generates through the process of highly committed team of persons. He demands and gets high levels of performance, not through coercion, but through persuasion and inspiration. So this is called as 9.9. So there are 4 types of leadership: 1.1, 1.9, 9.1, and 9.9. In styles, we can get 1.1, this is separated style. 1.1 is called as separated style. This is called as impoverished, cautious, conservative, procedure mind. 1.1, we are talking about a separated style. Is impoverished. Impoverished is cautious, conservative, procedure minded, orderly, trying to be accurate, calm, discreet. This is called as separate style. 9.1 is called as autocratic or dedicated style. He is determined, aggressive, confident, busy, driving, restless. This is called a dedicated 9.1. Then related style 1.9, also called as country club. 1.9 is also called as with low concern of task and high concern of people. It's called as country club. Emphasizes personal development, informal, long conversation, sympathetic, approving, encouraging, friendly, reassuring. But they have nothing to do with task, only concern of people. So last is integrated style. This is called as team manager. Task for ideal goals, policies, wants, values, lot of sharing, listens, participative problem solver. This is integrated style. High concern of task and high concern of people. So these are leadership theories. Groups and teams authority and see groups, teams, authority, and power wave. So people are interdependent on each other. The reason a group is said to be cohesive when the member decide to continue to be in the group. Authority is given from above, power is given from below. Authority is always given from above and power from below. Authority is that of a position while power is that of a person. A leader has to ensure that the communication within his group is complete and timely. Authority is that of a position. So very few jobs in an organization can be done by an individual or by himself. Everybody work connects to someone else's work, and the final results are achieved when all these jobs are done in coordination. One person's output is another's input, the second person being the internal customer of the first. So this is called as grouping. Groups and teams. So there are characteristics of groups. A formal group, these will be laid down by the organization which created the group. And the informal group, they evolve over the time and are accepted by the everyone. This is like society we live in, where there are standards of behavior which by and large everyone accepts. So this is formal and informal groups are there. Synergy. Synergy is the concept which says that the interaction of members in a group can create energy more than the sum of the energies of the members themselves. The synergy means interaction of members in a group can create energy more than the sum of the energies of the members themselves. So unlike formal groups which are formed by decisions of superiors, informal groups are formed voluntarily. By the very nature of their information, there is likely to be better understanding and willingness to cooperate among the members of informal groups. There are likely to be more trust and mutual support among them. So this is called as informal groups, and this another one is synergy. Then teams. A group is said to be cohesive. A group is said to be cohesive. We have already done that. Characteristics of teams. The cohesiveness of a team can be evaluated on the following characteristics: common objectives. They should have common objective. Cooperation. Members of a team have to cooperate with each other. This implies that they show concern for and adjust to each other instead of being concerned only with their respective problems. The next is support and trust. Members of a team trust each other and are not suspicious of each other's intentions and bona fides. So support and trust is another important parameter of team. Confrontation. When people interact with each other, it is natural that there would be differences and misunderstanding. In cohesive teams, they are not brushed under the carpet. They are brought up by the surface and discussed to clear up misunderstanding. It is not necessary that members agree completely on all matters. So this is confrontation. Then openness. This refers to willingness of a member to express himself and to listen and examine the variety of opposing points of view. This is confrontation is not possible without openness. So procedures of systems. Members of teams will have to know how work is arranged and being done within the team. So procedure and system, members of a team will have to know how the work is arranged. Appropriate leadership. Appropriate leadership in a cohesive team. The leadership is appropriate to the skills and the motivation of the members and to the task to be achieved. This is called as appropriate leadership. The next point is authority and power. Authority, there is no in organization there is no formal position called leader. There are managers and heads of departments. All such people will be required to get work done by some subordinates. All of them therefore have to function as leaders. So this is called leaders, authority. When appointed by the organization to the role of manager or head of the department, the incumbent is given some authority. Authority includes right to instruct subordinates. This does not necessarily help him to exercise influence. For example, all branch managers of an insurance company will have the same authority, but some may have more difficulty than others in getting cooperation from the staff. In the same branch, the staff may become more or less cooperative when a new manager takes over. The ability of the two branch managers to influence their subordinates is different, although both of them have the same authority. So this is authority and power. What is power? The power, the ability to influence is defined as power. The ability to influence. An effective leader has influence over his people. He therefore has power. a leader of a group, he is not able to influence the behavior of his people, has no power, even though he may have the authority. Difference between authority and power. What is the difference? A leader has power because the members of his group accept his leadership. If they do not, they are unlikely to follow him. They may not be influenced by him and may even get some other person to lead them. This other person would effectively be the leader with no formal authority but with power. Thus, power is given to a leader by the persons over whom he exercises the influence. Authority is given from above, power is given from below. Authority that of position and power is that of person. So now next point is ethics. What is ethics? Ethics deals with the issue of right and wrong. The principles of right conduct are not always explicitly stated. They are implicitly known. There would be general awareness of what constitutes proper behavior. It is clearly not right to cheat. So a price of rupees 5 for a good cup of tea in a roadside stall may be considered too high, while rupees 25 charged by five-star restaurant may be not considered high. So this is one example of ethics. So ethics is not a law. Ethics deal with rights and wrongs, what is proper and what is not. Propriety is different from legality, which is what the law lays down. Ethics is not a matter of law. The case of haggling referred to earlier, what is the legally right is not ethical. Corruption and every abuse of the authority happened within the provision of the law. Despite a shortage in housing, several houses remained unoccupied in Mumbai city because of provisions of law. Tenancy rights were seen as unfair. The requirement of adequate proof of legal processes is the reason many wrongs happening in the courts. This is ethics. Values. Ethics is related to values. Values are standards of right and wrong. Values are right and wrong. Values are learned from contexts and experiences with persons who articulate values. Values are learned from the mother's knees, schools, dinner table, conversation, literature, stories of heroes, legends, and spiritual, etc. So there we can evaluate ethics in various types. That morality. The word ethics and morality would seem similar. Both refer to aspect of good and evil. Then religion. Religious teachings have strong influence in the creation of values and therefore in the determination of ethics. All religious texts have the same basic themes, although details of practice and rituals commanded more priests and commentators might suggest variation. The basic themes are to recognize the universality of all being, to do good and do not harm others, not to be arrogant but to be humble, to avoid extremes, greed, lust, anger, hatred, not to get lost in the trivialities of the material world, but to hold oneself accountable for Supreme Almighty, and that the consequence of the one's actions are unavoidable, and so on. So these are the ethics. Now the last chapter is challenges. Changes had been happening all the time. What is different at present time is the pace of change is accelerating. The nature of change is also changing. Change is not incremental by more. So there are various challenges. First is demographics. Because of the general improvement of healthcare system and better lifestyles, people people are living longer than in the past. Companies which have provided pension benefits will find their financial burden increasing more than what may have been expected and provided for. Younger employees may have to be looking after aged parents and may therefore find their mobility restricted because of the expectation of the new generation in terms of careers and achievement are different. They may want to be mobile. So demographics is the one of the challenges. The second, women. Increasingly, women are getting to work not only in offices and factories, but also drivers of taxis and autos. Some companies have employed women moving around the two-wheelers to deliver goods and food. More women are becoming guards and bouncers as more ladies visit pubs and bars. So women are at the work do not like to discriminate against. In the past, women used to pay less than male counterparts. This does not happen now, except perhaps in the unorganized sector. Women demand that they be posted like men, even in to difficult assignments like combat duties in the armed forces. So second one is women. Third, this is the important point on the exam perspective, that generation X and generation Y. So generation X means from distinguish between those born in decade 66 to 76. 1966 to 1976 is called as generation X, and born between 1977 to 1999 calling generation Y. But those who born after 1999 are not grown up enough to show distinct characteristics of the behavior. So what is generation X? According to the studies, generation X born of divorced parents and grown up in a daycare institution and characteristics skepticism, want to know what is in it for me. Generation X, what is the specialty of generation X? What is in it for me before reacting, and show higher level of caution and pragmatism than their parents. So what is in it for me? This is the angle of generation X. Then what is generation Y? Generation Y is incredibly sophisticated, technically savvy, immune to traditional marketing and self pitches, having been exposed to them and seen it all. So generation Y is incredibly sophisticated. They are racially and ethnically diverse, much more segmented as an audience and flexible in fashions and style. They are often raised in dual income families and are involved in family purchases. So this is generation X and generation Y. Next point is technology. One of the major development is digital India. We know digital India. According to increasing connectivity will also change the way of business. The digital era will have much greater impact than the information era had. So it will not be easy to adjust. So there are various technological advancements like programming language Julia. Julia, one of the developments of the India is a language called Julia, which is a high-speed, high-level dynamic program language of technical computing with syntax familiar to technical computers. So Julia is the programming language. Then cashless, paperless, personless transactions. India stack in developing cashless, paperless, personless transactions with devices layered upon Aadhaar card. So Aadhaar is the one of the instrument. Then R Hadoop, Scrum Master and develops. R is a programming language used for statistical computing to derive insights of data. R is a programming language used for statistical computing to derive insights from data. While Hadoop is the programming framework that supports the processing of large amounts of data in a widely distributed working environment. What is the difference between R and Hadoop? R is the programming language used for statistical computing to derive the insights of the data, while Hadoop is the programming framework that supports the processing of the large amounts of data in a widely distributed working environment. Then next is driverless cars. We know robots, drones, and other intelligence. The drones. One question is on drones. That drones have been in use for many years. They are part of striking powers of the armed forces and combat zones, performing accurately targeted. They are already part of Indian scene, though not to be very much commercial use. Drones have potential to become delivery boys also. So drones, robots, and intelligent forms. Next is Make in India. Manufacturing in India is expected to get a big boost as a result of the Make in India campaign of the government of India. So Make in India is also there, which is the challenge for HRM. Then consumer expectation. People travel a lot more than the past, both the holidays and on the work. From almost all villages and families, someone will be working abroad. Through smartphones and TV sets, people come to know what is happening elsewhere. Competitors Competitors make offers, promises. With all of these inputs, customers have expectations. They may not be willing to accept shoddy treatment. So this is called as consumer expectation. And then last is effect on staff. The insurance companies are using new technologies. The staff will have to be imparted the necessary skill. It is possible that some of them will be found reluctant because of the system will be able to function with lesser staff, and because some of them may find difficult to adjust to new technology. Other than redundancy, the new technology may lead to relocation, disruption of family, affect careers and status, and require new conditions of the work. Rural development, one question was asked, JA, what is JM? Jandhan Yojana means Jandhan, Aadhaar card and mobile phones. This is called as acronym for, this acronym is JAM, Jandhan Yojana, Aadhaar card and mobile phones. So with 97 crores of Aadhaar cards already, the prospects of insurance companies in rural areas seem to be bright in the immediate future. Both access and service are likely to become easier with the availability of technology. HR departments will have to ensure that their employees are ready to take full advantage of the same. So this is rural development JAM, Jandan, Aadhaar and Mobile, JAM. Next is being dynamic. Being dynamic, some surveys show that the three biggest HR challenges in the future will be, what are the three biggest challenges in the future? Rewarding and retaining the best employees, developing the next generation of corporate leaders, creating a corporate culture that attracts the best employees. So three challenges: rewarding and retaining the best employee, developing the next generation of corporate leaders, and creating corporate culture that attracts the best employee. Last is global operations. Global operations, Indian companies are increasingly operating in other countries. Foreign companies are operating in India. Indian companies like hotels and hospitals will have plenty of foreigners and customers from different countries. The involvement of foreign personnel will affect the HR functions in the matter of the communication. Interpersonal relations are built through the communication. This is the global operations. Next, our next section is CDA rules. So CDA stands for Conduct, Discipline and Appeal. CDA stands for Conduct, Discipline and Appeal. CDA rules are applicable to all employees who are posted in all other companies also. Means if New Indian is posted in Oriental United National or agriculture insurance in a company, then these CDA rules are applicable to him also. The CDA rules are applicable for pensions, pensioners, persons governed by pension 1995. Now the next point is regarding CDA rules, that every employee at all times shall, what he has to do, every employee, maintain absolute integrity, maintain devotion to duty, do nothing which is unbecoming of a public servant. We are studying these CDA rules 2014. So CDA stands for Conduct, Discipline and Appeal. Rules are applicable for employees posted in other companies also, applicable for pensioners also. And the employee, what the employee should do? He should maintain the integrity, maintain devotion of duty, do nothing which is unbecoming of a public servant, and conform to and abide by the rules, and shall observe, comply with and obey all the orders and directions time to time. So this is called as CDA rules. Next is misconduct. There are 24 listed misconducts in the CDA rules, but this is the list is indicative and not exhaustive. So first misconduct is theft, fraud or dishonesty. Theft, fraud, dishonesty in connection with the business or property of company or another person within the premises of the company. This is first misconduct: theft, fraud or dishonesty in connection with the business or property of the company, of the property of another person within the premises of the company. Second is taking or giving bribes. Taking or giving bribes or any illegal gratification or providing undue favor to anybody at the cost of the company. This is second misconduct. Third is possession of pecuniary resources or property disproportionate to the known sources of income by the employee, means possession of pecuniary resources. This is third misconduct. On behalf of another person which the employee cannot satisfactorily account for. Then fourth is furnishing false information regarding name, age, caste, father's name, qualification, ability, or previous service or any other matter to the employment at the time of employment or during the course of employment. So furnishing false information is 4. Fifth misconduct is acting in a manner prejudicial to the interest of the company. Sixth, willful insubordination or disobedience. Willful disobedience or insubordination is the sixth misconduct. Seventh, absence without leave or overstaying the sanctioned leave for more than 4 consecutive days. Absence without leave or overstaying the sanctioned leave for more than 4 consecutive days without sufficient grounds is the seventh misconduct. Then eighth misconduct is habitual late or irregular attendance. 9th point, neglect of work or negligence in the performance of duty, including maligning or slowing down of work. So slowing down of work is also misconduct, and neglect of work for negligence of performance of duty is called misconduct. Then 10th point, damage to the property of the company, including interference or tampering with any safety devices installed in or around the premises of the company. Safety devices like CCTV cameras or fire extinguishers or etc. So damage to the property of the company, including interference or tampering with any safety devices installed in or around the premises of the company. Then drunken or riotous or disorderly or indecent behavior in the premises of company or outside such premises. Drunken or riotous or disorderly or indecent behavior in the premises of the company or outside such premises. Then gambling within the premises of the establishment. Gambling. Collection without the permission of the competent authority of any money within the premises of the company, except as sanctioned by any law of the land for the time being in force of rules of the company. Then sleeping while on the duty. Sleeping while on duty. This is the 14 number point. Sleeping while on duty. 15th point is commission of any act which amounts to be a criminal offense involving moral turpitude. A moral turpitude is the commission of the any act which amounts to criminal offense involving moral turpitude. Absence from the employee's appointed place work without permission of sufficient clause. Without permission, absence is the misconduct. Then 17th point is smoking within the premises of the office. Smoking within the premises of the office. Then purchasing properties, machinery, stores from the selling properties, machinery, stores, etc. to the company without express permission in writing from the competent authority. So purchasing properties is also misconduct from selling properties, machineries of the company. Then commission of any act subversive of discipline or of good behavior. Then abatement of an attempt of abatement of any act which amounts misconduct. Then sharing of computer password with others without written sanction from the competent authority. Sharing of computer password. Any wrongful illegal activity committed through the computer, internet, and violation of provisions of the Information Technology Act as amended from time to time. So any wrongful as per Information Technology Act 2000. Indulging in any act of sexual harassment of any women at workplace. And possession of consuming being under the influence of narcotics or drugs of similar nature in the premises of the company or outside such premises. So these are listed 24 misconducts. Now next is scope of service. Scope of service, unless in any case it is otherwise provided whole-time employee shall be disposal of the company. So the employee should work only for the company. No employee shall accept, solicit, or seek any outside employment or office, whether stipendary or honorary, without the previous sanction of competent authority. So the third point is outside employment. Outside employment, um, no employee shall accept, solicit, or seek outside employment. Then next is part-time work. Part-time work, no employee shall accept, solicit, no employee shall undertake part-time work for private or public body or private person or accept fees thereof without the sanction of competent authority. So without the sanction of competent employee cannot do the part-time work. Then secrecy. No employee shall, while in service or after his retirement also, resignation or discharge, except his accordance with the general special order of his superior officers company, or in performance in good faith of the duties assigned to him, communicate directly or indirectly any official document or information to any employee or any other person whom he is not authorized to communicate. So this is obligation to maintain secrecy. Obligation to maintain secrecy. Next is evidence before committee or any other authority. Nothing, save as provided in the no employee shall accept with the previous sanction of the competent authority, give evidence in connection with any inquiry conducted by any person, committee, and authority. Where any sanction has been acquired, this is evidence before committee and authority. Next is politics. It shall be the duty of every employee to endeavor to prevent any member of his family from taking part, subscribing in aid of, assisting in any other manner, any movement which is or tends directly and indirectly to the subversive of the company, government as a law of established. So prohibition against participation in politics and contesting for election by filing the nomination. So it is prohibited. Next is demonstration. No employee of the company shall engage himself or participate in any demonstration which involves incitement to an offense, nor shall he resort to any abet from the strike. So this is regarding demonstration. Next is connection with press and radio. No employee shall accept with the previous sanction of the company own wholly or part of conduct, participate, ending, managing of any newspaper or any periodical publication. This is regarding connection with press and radio. Next is gifts. And there is some limits are given that 7,000, 5,000 are limits regarding gifts. So an employee of the company shall avoid acceptance of lavish gifts or frequent hospitality from any individual or firm having official dealings with him. So this is regarding gifts. Then trading. No employee shall act as insurance agent, nor shall allow the member of his family to act as an insurance agent. This is private trading. No employee shall accept with the previous sanction of company engage directly, indirectly in trade, business, or profession. Also, no employee shall speculate in any stock, share, or other investment. This is regarding stocks and shares. Now, borrowing and investments, property returns, submission of property returns. Every employee shall submit a return of her assets and liabilities in the form of property returns in the prescribed format, giving full particulars. This is a submission of property returns. Then debt. Employee shall so manage his private affairs as to avoid habitual indebtedness or insolvency. So employees in debt. Then absence from station. No employee shall absent himself from his station overnight without the prior sanction of the competent authority. No employee shall absent himself from his station overnight without the prior sanction of the competent authority. Then next is suspension. The appropriate authority may place employee under suspension when a disciplinary proceeding against him is contemplated or is pending. And next is where a case against him is in respect of any criminal offense is under investigation or trial. So employee who is detained in a custody, whether on criminal charge or otherwise, for a period exceeding 48 hours, shall be deemed to have been suspended with effect from the date of detention by an order of an appropriate authority. So this is regarding suspension. Then subsistence allowance. Subsistence allowance, an employee under suspension shall be entitled to draw subsistence allowance equal to 50% of the monthly gross emoluments drawn on the date immediately prior to the date of which the employee is suspended, where the period of the suspension exceeds 6 months. If the period of suspension exceeds 6 months, the authority which made or deemed to have made the order of suspension shall be competent to vary the amount of suspension allowance to the subsistence allowance to the any period. The amount subsistence may be increased to 75%. 75% of the monthly gross emoluments drawn to the date prior to the date of the employee suspended, if in the opinion of the said authority the period of suspension being prolonged due to reasons of to be recorded not employee under suspension. If the suspension, if the delay is not due to employee, the subsistence allowance to be increased to 75%. And if it is directly related to employee, the subsistence allowance to be reduced to 25% from 50%. Then there are penalties. There are 4 minor penalties and 5 major penalties. So first penalty is censure, minor penalty, censure. Next is withholding of one or more increment for a specific period. When we withheld the increment for specific period, it is known as minor penalty. Then recovery of a whole or part of pecuniary loss caused by the cost to the company by negligence or breach of orders from pay or such other amount as may be due to him. So first is censure, second is withholding of one or more increments for specified time. Third is recovery of the whole or part of any pecuniary loss caused to the company by negligence or breach of orders from pay or such other amount as may be due to him. So recovery is the third minor penalty. Fourth is reduction to a lower stage in time scale for a period not exceeding 3 years without cumulative effect. So without cumulative effect, reduction to a lower stage in the time scale for a period not exceeding 3 years. Next is major penalties. Major penalties, withholding of one or more increments permanently. Withholding one or more increments permanently, this is major penalty. Reduction to a lower service or post or to a lower time scale or to a lower stage in a time scale. This is compulsory. Reduction to a lower service or post or to a lower time scale or to a lower stage in a time scale. This is major penalty. So 5 major penalties are there and 4 minor penalties. First major penalty is withholding one or more increment permanently. Second is reduction to the lower scale. Third is compulsory retirement. Fourth is removal from service which not to be disqualification for future employment. Removal from service which shall not be a disqualification for future employment. So he can take future employment, but last is dismissal which shall ordinarily be disqualification for future employment. So these are the five major penalties. Now the last is CDA, schedule of authorities. Schedule of authorities. This is an important table. 1 or 2 questions will be there from this table only. So this first column is category of employees. Category of employees, sub-staff, driver or equivalent cadres. Then record clerk, assistant, senior assistant, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 6. 6 and 7. So the appointed, it is easy to memorize this table, that First is appointing authority, second disciplinary appellate memorial. Appointing, disciplinary appellate memorial. Category of employees is sub-staff driver, then record clerk assistant, senior assistant, development officer. Third, scale 1, scale 2, then scale 3, scale 5, and scale 4, and scale 6 and scale 7. So this is the first column. Now appointing authority for sub-staff is officer in scale 4. So you can see that scale 4, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, and 8, like this. Appointing authority 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, and 8. And appellate authority is one step more. Then appointing authority for sub-staff is scale 4. Appellate authority is scale 5. Record clerk, for record clerk, appointing authority is scale 4. And appellate authority is scale 5. So one level higher than appointing authority is the appellate authority. And memorial authority for almost all, for up to scale 3 is CMD, and officers in scale 4 and 5 is board subcommittee. So appointing authority, disciplinary authority, appellate authority, and memorial authority. These are 4 authorities, and category of employees are given vertically. So this is the last slide. We will share 200 questions on Telegram group regarding this management theory and CDA rules. That's all. Thank you.